Hello and welcome to Prototype and See, a brand new podcast for designers, engineers and innovators all about the product development journey. My name's James Murphy, co-founder of HLH, one of the world's leading manufacturers of prototypes and low-volume production parts. I've been in this industry for nearly 20 years, but I feel there's still a great deal about our customers that I don't yet understand. So, in Prototype and See, I'm going to be sitting down with some of the world's most innovative companies, talking to designers and engineers, all about the successes and failures, the ups and downs of bringing new products to market. On today's episode, we're privileged to have with us Gethin Roberts of
Hello.
Iterate UK. Welcome.
Hi, James.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Okay. First off, please just tell us a bit about yourself and about Iterate, what you're all about.
Okay, so I'm Gethin. I'm the managing director of Iterate, and we're a product development consultancy. So we are working with startups, individuals, and in some cases established businesses to help them take a new product idea from a concept right the way through to production. I think more recently we're kind of working in the medical space, but not exclusively. We, over the years we've developed consumer products, technologies, industrial products, all kinds of things really. But it's that full development process that we offer our clients. So yeah, that's Iterate.
Okay. Is there any one type of product or one industry that you kind of prefer working with? As you say you're doing a lot of medical, but
good question. I wouldn't say it's sector specific. I think that we like to work on projects that are kind of purposeful, purpose driven, and that are actually going to have some kind of impact, and so whether it's medical, and that's a very good kind of outlet for being able to create products that actually have meaningful benefits to the user, because in many cases it's helping diagnose or solve a medical condition, but even consumer products that helps people live a better life or do something more productively, more efficiently, and just for it to actually improve people's experiences, whether that be through the user interaction or, even in some cases that it's more accessible or affordable for it to buy a particular product, or maybe, the materials that it's made from are more sustainable and people see a lot of value in that as well. So I think that not necessarily sector specific, but we do enjoy working on projects that do have a kind of a wider benefit to them. Okay.
And is any easier than the other? Medical must be quite difficult.
Yeah. In terms of difficulty, so I think with medical products, there's always the regulatory challenges that you have to go through, and that kind of extends the timeline a lot of the time. But even that said, we've worked on very simple medical products in terms of the design requirements and technical challenges involved in those. And kind of by contrast, we've worked on some consumer-related products that have been really technically challenging.
Are you able to give us any example? Are you able to talk about anything?
What in terms of some of the technical challenges? Or what we've kind of found. So I think that what we always try and do is if we see a hugely technically challenging project, and maybe there's lots of different risks, many unknowns, from the outset, then typically what we would do is a package of technical feasibility, so a piece of work to try and understand more about what those technical challenges specifically are likely to be. And so, that can be really digging deep down into some of the competitors, understanding how the competitors' products work, to try and get that knowledge and transfer that over.
Is that something that you're able to do completely in-house, or do you need to work with other partners outside?
Yeah, good question. So in terms of if it's mechanical challenges, then yes, we can do that solely in-house. When you're when there's big electronic challenges, our electronic capability in-house is much, much smaller. That's one of our kind of less specialist areas. So in those instances, we would collaborate with a partner then to be able to help kind of deliver the whole project. But yeah, in terms of kind of assessing how difficult a project's likely to be, as I say, if we see that it's going to be problematic, then we kind of do as much as we can up front to kind of de-risk that project before kind of taking on the wider development of that.
Okay. Have you ever seen a project that somebody's come to you with that has been like so challenging technically that it's put you off?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because, I think that, we are solid design engineers, and I think that, sometimes people come to us with, so one example, and this is kind of to illustrate the point, there was a client that wanted to create a car turntable, so you drive up to the drive and you park your car and then it spins around and then turns your car around so you can drive out the other way. And so their angle was that they thought there was a gap in the market for something which was like a low cost version of doing this. Right. And
why would you want one of those?
well, if you live in a city or something and you've got too much money to spend, and you've got like a compact space, it could be handy.
Okay, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
So they, something like this is, just immediately I can say there's going to be some technical challenges there in actually getting something like that to market, because we've got no prior knowledge of developing something like that in the first instance. It's going to be really difficult for us to prototype something like that and test it. Yeah. We haven't got the facility at that kind of scale to be able to create something. And so, that's the kind of project where there's red flags in it that you look at it and think, no, this is too much for us to be able to take on.
Right.
We typically say, if you can't fit it on a desk, just as like a basic rule of thumb, then we're probably not the right people to be working on that particular project. Okay. But it's not just about size. There's all kind of factors that kind of play into that. Then.
Yeah. And do you see a lot of people coming to you with ideas which are not realistic?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. So I think that it's realistic for a few different reasons. So realistic because, okay, technically it might not be possible to do that. That's one thing. Realistic in the sense that, they might not have the budget to be able to take it all of the way. Realistic as well in terms of, okay, there already may be some competitors out there or intellectual property that already exists that actually stops them from doing what they're suggesting. So yeah, I think that I'd probably say maybe a good 50% of the people that we talk to are unrealistic about what they can achieve.
What they can achieve, yeah. I think that leads us on to something we were going to talk about today, which is your kind of top 3 myths about product development.
Yeah.
And the number one was all you need is an idea.
Yeah.
And I think that is a misconception that a lot of people have. All you need is a good idea and you're away.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about...
Yeah, so I think that, a lot of the time, people, I find that people have kind of like a new experience in their life, and then that kind of sparks an idea. So COVID was interesting because everybody was experiencing like a massive change in their lifestyle all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing how we got loads of inquiries for products related to home working, because everyone was home working.
Yeah.
Products related to like different ways of cleaning surfaces, because everyone was conscious of that. And also fitness related products as well. And so we were just overwhelmed with inquiries in this sort of space that we hadn't really seen as such a trend all at the same time. So I think often it's a change in circumstance or experience that makes people think, there's a new idea for something.
Yeah.
And often then people do a bit of research and then they find, okay, there could be a gap in the market and you need to question why that is. But I'd forgotten the original question.
It was just about like the fact that people sometimes think that all they need is a good idea and they don't really understand the intricacies involved and the process of actually developing a saleable product.
So as I say, the change in experience kind of sparks that but often it's often people are coming to us that have got no exposure to product development. You see a new kettle or an iron or whatever that may be in the shop, but there's very little visibility as to how that actually got there and the journey the journey that took, because day to day people don't really get exposed to that kind of thing. It's kind of it just gets there, doesn't it? A lot of people seem to think, but so when you start to explain, well, actually, we need to go through this process of understanding the technical challenges, understanding the competitors, creating the CAD models, testing it, prototyping it, preparing for manufacture, it becomes like, wow, I didn't know this.
I didn't understand. I mean, it's quite heartening in a sense, like you're saying after COVID or during COVID, you had like loads of people coming to you with ideas for new products around home working, because, I mean, the UK is often considered to be not very entrepreneurial, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
So I don't know. I think that you've probably got more of a global perspective than I have, but I speak to certainly people in Europe, and they'll say it's really difficult to set up a business in France, or it's really difficult to set up a business
the
in
UK
Germany.
has that in its favour. I think we do have it's easy to set up a company here. So I've certainly met people from like Italy or France, and they move over here just because it's much easier to set a company up here.
Yeah.
But I think as a nation, I mean, the impression I get is that we're happier working for somebody else.
Okay.
That's the impression I get. So it's quite heartening to hear you say that there's all these people out there with ideas, even if some of them are not like ready to be developed into a viable business. It makes me feel good that there are people out there thinking up new things to do.
So I was looking at, and I don't want to quote any specific statistics, 'cause I'll probably be wrong, but a couple of years ago, looking at the intellectual property, so patents filed, and I think that Italy was one of the highest countries in new IP filed, which was really interesting. And then you kind of look at, well, this the kind of government support systems, and there's lots of government R&D funds available in Italy, and that is the case in the UK as well. It is competitive to be able to access funds from Innovate UK and government generally. But there is a wealth of support for businesses that either kind of in the startup stages, but certainly more established businesses to develop new products.
I think I saw on your website that you guys work with the Welsh government.
We do,
to fund, or you have funding available so that you can go into businesses in Wales and help them. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting example. So Welsh Government runs something called Smart Productivity and Design, and it's the way that we work with them is that we're able to engage a company. Typically, the company needs to have more than 10 employees, but we can support them for a period of up to 8 days to deliver a package of design or manufacturing support, and that can kind of be at any stage in the development cycle. So, if a company needs some support with some research, technical research or competitor research potentially, or maybe some concept design or supplier identification, then we're able to deliver that support to them. It's free of charge to the company because it's meant to be a kind of catalyst for innovation. And it's only 8 days, so the kind of the forms and the bureaucracy around it is very, very lean. And so we do a piece of work, we're out, and we're meant to, kind of encourage companies to develop new products and improve their manufacturing processes and eventually create jobs. Within.
Have you done much of that?
Loads. Loads. So we've because it's a public contract, you have to tender for it every sort of 2 to 3 years. So we've been working with Welsh Government nearly for about 8 or 9 years. So we've been successful in renewing our contract with them. And I find it very rewarding because I'm from Wales originally, and you kind of get exposed to what's on your doorstep, and there's a huge amount of industry in South Wales and North Wales in particular, and it's fantastic to see the full range of companies from automotive, aerospace, medical. So
I think there is quite a lot of high tech manufacturing, more than you'd think, done in Wales.
I think so. I think, what we realise is that we do need to compete with some of the other nations, and by introducing technologies into these companies so that, you remove labour is a good way. So lots of the companies that I've certainly been to see, if they are an injection mould facility, for example, there's very few people working on the line. It's all automated.
All automated, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot in my heart for Wales. Like, my mum's Welsh.
Okay.
She is from Milford Haven.
Oh, right, nice.
Yeah. It's
nice
quite
area.
nice down there.
Yeah, nice area.
It is, yeah. So I like to hear things are going well in Wales. Yeah. So how's the kind of startup scene in Wales? Like, is there much of one? Or?
There is. Yeah, there is. In terms of the support that I was talking about, there's kind of different levels of support for startup businesses, but it feels like there's lots of people that have got new ideas and kind of want to be able to create their own businesses. There's lots of like incubation centres, which I think we're probably seeing more and more of that over the UK, where you can do hot desking and kind of meet with like-minded people. That's the kind of thing that I used to do in the earlier days. But there's a lot of those kind of centres and kind of movements, if you can call it that, in Wales.
Yeah. And most of the people that you work with, are they in Wales or all around the country, or all around the world? Or?
So I would say 50% are Welsh, and then probably the other 50% generally tend to be in London.
Right.
So it's those two areas, and the people that we work with in London, there's an interesting profile of person, actually, that often it's somebody that has, that generally have got money to spend. They may be doing a particular day job. So there's lots of people that we work with that are in finance.
Right.
And, they're kind of...
trying to get out.
Yeah. Trying to do something different, do something a bit more tangible, rather than looking at spreadsheets and stuff. Yeah. So, we work with a lot of that kind of person or client. And, what we find is that people that have got commercial experience, then when they kind of apply it to running a product development project, it makes the world of difference. Yeah.
They've kind of got an idea about the business side of things.
Absolutely.
So they can see that it's a viable, concern, going product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they just need your help with the design, the technical side of things. Yeah, that's kind of your perfect. They've got money.
Yep.
Yeah. They know how to run a business, but they need help with the design and development.
Absolutely.
Side of things,
Yes, probably our ideal client.
Okay. Yeah. You when we were just talking about all you need is an idea, your myth number one, you mentioned patents, and that's myth number two, I believe, that a patent is essential.
Yes.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think it's essential, but it really depends on what your intent is. So a couple of different scenarios, maybe, for example, if you're a medical business and you want to scale this company, and then eventually you want to exit in maybe 5 or 10 years time, get some venture capital money into the company to help with that journey, then I'd suggest that patents are critical, and kind of almost getting those sooner is a good thing, because you can use that as collateral, really, to be able to raise the money and progress the journey. So in those kind of instances, a patent is important. But I think that lots of people that we talk to think that they have to have a patent to be able to take their product to market.
They're very expensive.
They can be, they can be. And the problem with that, though, is that if you think that you need a patent, when actually there may not be too much value in doing that. That you spend 10, 20 grand getting a patent that could be spent on design and getting your product to market quicker.
Yeah.
Because I think that people don't really appreciate the value in being the first to market often.
Yeah.
And so if you have got a really innovative idea, the sooner you can get that to market, then you can start to secure that following and that brand loyalty, and then it may not even be that first product that you really make the money from. It's your second, it's your third, it's your fourth, but you've kind of got that captive audience then. And you may want to get patents for some of the other products later on down the line. But yeah, so I think it really depends on why you're wanting to get a product to market in the first place, and what your kind of business objectives are really longer term for what you have.
And that side of things, is that something that you get involved in or not? Like,
kind of, yeah.
You can help people out with patents and funding and things like that. Or?
So with patents, we haven't got any patent attorneys in-house. We're solely a design consultancy, but there are a number of people that, when our client comes to us and says, we want to file an IP, and we refer them on to a couple of people. And that works very well because, we can retain the specialism in our area, and they can be specialists in their area.
Yeah.
So
and then does it work the other way? Like you have those people introducing clients to you?
Yeah. I mean, it's the value of the network, because there's often there's a number of different kind of organisations that we would interact with along the supply chain, whether that be outsourcing prototypes or manufacturing suppliers. That when you develop the relationships with people, that there is that kind of cross referral of customers naturally, I think.
Okay. And what about software? Do you guys get involved with that much, or
software development?
Yeah, so that runs alongside the products that you're developing, so software.
So I would not in house. So as I was saying earlier, so if we're creating a product that's got electronics inside it, and maybe it's got like a touchscreen display and some embedded software on it, then we would work with a specialist to be able to kind of complement what we're doing and kind of deliver the full solution to the client. But I think because of the majority of the products that we're developing, either the client has, they may have that expertise themselves, and we're doing the rest of it. And where they haven't, then we can kind of sort of collaborate with other people then to deliver the full product.
Okay. All right. And then myth number 3 is that you must manufacture in China.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this one again is close to my heart.
Yeah.
Because obviously our factory is based in China. But where do you stand on this one?
Again, it depends on what your objectives are, because I think the go-to was to manufacture the product in the final product in China, because it was the cheapest way of doing that.
But that's not necessarily the case, though, is it? Anymore.
Well, I think lots of things have kind of more recently played into that, and so COVID has obviously been a big catalyst, and also Brexit, and things like the fluctuation in currency and shipping costs as well have just gone through the roof. But they seem to be coming back down. As that all impacts on the final cost of doing it. And so when you look at the bigger picture, then often manufacturing China then doesn't look like the best solution for you. But I think it's volume dependent as well. If you want a handful, if you want a dozen of something made, then maybe the UK is the best thing to do. But if you want to drive down the unit price, then China is a really good option.
Yeah, and you help your clients right through to manufacturing and finding suppliers for their products. Yeah, based on what they're looking to,
where they're looking to manufacture. So we've got some really good partners that we work with in China, and also in the UK as well. But it really depends, what the client is looking for, because there are instances where the client does see value in manufacturing in the UK because of things like protecting against risk of shipping and currency and things, and also there is a little bit of concern about resilience of supply chains now.
And that definitely came to the fore during COVID, didn't it? Yeah, I mean, some things, like at the time, I just couldn't get my head around it. It's like allowing other countries to make all of your kind of medicines.
Yeah,
just ridiculous, really. So I think that was definitely something that they had to have a long think about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You need to do some things yourself, don't you? I think
it's but I don't think we'd ever kind of considered the scale of COVID.
No. Well, it was a shock. But I mean, they had done a trial run, hadn't they, based on the flu or something.
Right. Okay.
They based it on. So they had like a what would you call it?
Like
a trial run. We'll just call it that.
Yeah. Okay.
So they weren't like completely like square one kind of. They had plans in place. Yeah. But yeah, it was a shock. Yeah. But it worked out okay for you guys. Lots of business.
Yeah. So we were fine throughout COVID because we were helping businesses with. So there was a few different things going on in the UK around about that time. So people were having to quickly set up production for products that were previously manufactured in China, and so we were involved in a few of those projects. There were so there was reshoring of some tooling and that kind of thing as well. And as I mentioned, there was lots of new product inquiries that people kind of jumping on as a result of COVID.
The changes, yeah.
So, lots of PPE projects we were involved in around that kind of time. So that kind of kept us busy. But there's been some interesting changes as a result of COVID where, the labour market is very strange at the moment in the UK.
Yeah, it is.
Unusual because we've got less labour, ultimately.
Yeah.
Now lots of people have retired, switched disciplines. I think COVID kind of made people reflect a lot.
Yeah. So during COVID, you said a lot of people were coming to you with ideas for different products around home working. And what about like today? Like what are the trends you're seeing at the minute?
A good question. Trends. So I think that there's a few trends. So things like Bitcoin, NFTs, AI are all hot topics.
Yeah.
And obviously, lots of those things are kind of software based, but it's interesting to see how that is being impacted on the product design sector. Where you've got an NFT, but then actually, does that create an opportunity for a new product? And there's a couple of things that I probably can't talk about on this, but that is happening right now, where there are opportunities for new hardware products
based around those technologies.
Yes, Okay. So that's interesting. Particularly AI, is going to be exciting to see how that kind of plays out, really.
And are you guys using that in-house in your design development process already? You evaluating it? You looking at it?
Yeah, so I'd say evaluating it is probably a good word.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that there's a couple of groups of people where they think, okay, this is not going to impact our industry. Kind of got those sorts of people, and okay, well, it's not going to be in our lifetime, or it's really not for us. You've got that kind of attitude, but I think the reality of it is it's happening fast.
It is, yeah.
Nobody really knows at the moment how it's going to impact product design. It will,
yeah.
And I think that if we just figure out how we leverage that, it's not going to take our jobs overnight, but it will certainly change our jobs.
Yeah, I think certainly change them, like you say. Yeah. At the minute, it can do some things, but it can't do others. Like the actual mechanical design elements, it's gonna. Well, it's years away from doing that, I think, isn't it? But the aesthetics, there are already, like my brother, he keeps showing me this app. I can't remember what it's called, but you type in like Tim Burton sneakers, and then it gives you like within 2 seconds, it's got like 12 different sneaker trainer designs for like based on Tim Burton films.
Fantastic.
And they all look amazing. Yeah. So I mean, that is like dangerous for a lot of people, I think. I think AI is the jobs that it's potentially going to replace are ones that have often been considered safe, like well-educated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like high-earning jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting, I think,
will.
isn't it? Yeah.
It will. But I think the key to it is not to be scared of it.
Yeah, well, there's no point, is there? Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. There's no point being scared of it. Yeah, you can't do anything about it, really.
But I heard somebody comparing it to, okay, you know, AI is likely to be, you know, the equivalent of how the internet was to maybe our parents.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think it's different.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. I see it very, very differently.
Okay, cool.
I think the internet created but I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say that now because it's like, obviously, benefit of hindsight. Like, we can all see that it has created lots more kind of jobs and opportunities, but I think it created a more connected world. So once we had that, then lots and lots of opportunities for talking to people in different countries, like trade, were created. But I think AI is, the way I see it going, is it's going to enable less people to do more.
Yeah, okay.
So what about all of the other people that used to be required to do something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm going?
Yeah, so it is going to be huge displacement, isn't
yeah,
there?
it's going to be like concentrations of like wealth and power and authority,
Okay.
rather than like
More distributed.
Yeah, more distributed. That's the way I see it. But I mean, that's quite a pessimistic view of it, I think. I mean,
Well,
it might not go that way.
I think it's exciting.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, it is. Yeah. I do worry a little bit for my children, though. I don't know what they're going to do when they get older. It's like, because the school, what they teach them in schools, it's like a lot of it is just irrelevant. Like now,
Yeah.
It's like there's no point learning that almost. But then I think they haven't really, because it's so fast. They haven't got round to kind of rethinking education, right. And obviously it's such a difficult thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I worry a little bit for my children.
Yeah. So I've got two kids as well, and you know, I kind of share that concern, but I think that what school still does is, you know, it'll teach discipline.
Yeah.
You know, it'll teach confidence,
social skills,
exactly.
Soft skills, things like that. Yeah. I mean, you're still getting that side of things, but maybe. I mean, I would prefer it if they focused a little bit more on that side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, and had less kind of academic,
right?
Like more sports, more art, more of those kind of soft, like team building and more play. But that's just me. Like, it sounds. But there you go. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah,
AI.
definitely.
Yeah. You're not scared. That's good.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I'd like to position Iterate as being, you know, one of those businesses that is helping our customers to leverage AI through better product design, really.
Yeah.
So I think that you can't turn your back on it.
No. And what about things like generative design and stuff like that? Have you got involved much with that?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got a good relationship with Autodesk. We use Autodesk Fusion 360 as one of our it's our nominated CAD package. And so the generative design function in there is very, very powerful. Do
you use it much though? Do you see much applications for it?
So I think there is huge application for it, but we haven't leveraged it on all of our projects. Only a couple. I'd like for us to be using it more, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean the things that I've seen, it's like automotive or kind of high performance bikes, cycles, mountain bikes, or aerospace.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there must be, but I can't see how it's going to help, like designing a new speaker, for example, or a new pair of headphones or something like that. I mean, is that what you found? Like, it's quite industry specific, generative design.
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting topic because I think at the moment generative design works really well if you're using additive as the production method for that part. So if you've got something that, you know, isn't necessarily aesthetic,
yeah,
but it's got a mechanical or load-bearing requirement, and the intent is that you will manufacture it in volume using, SLS or SLA, then I think it's very good for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've seen so far, yeah.
And it just so happens that I think, aerospace and automotive are very it's weight critical.
Yeah, they need to reduce weight, and they understand exactly like the loads and all of the other kind of constraints that they need to work within. Yeah, so.
But I think that it's interesting because, okay, if it plays into additive manufacturing really well at the moment, when additive further improves from where it is at the minute, then, we're probably going to be in a position where we will be using generative design more and more, because additive manufacturing is kind of the needle on moving closer to being able to use that as a production method. Is just getting closer.
I mean,
and closer.
we already use it. I mean, well, not us, but for our clients, there are quite a lot of projects where people are using 3D printing for manufacturing, and in quite high volumes as well. Yeah, really high volumes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, because it's kind of like that's something that I've seen in my lifetime, that there's that massive change, and I think that some of our clients have used it to really good effect, where they've got a high value product. It's in some instances making tens or hundreds of that, and being able to listen to what the market thinks about that product, make changes, and then release a version 2, version 3, version 4
very quickly.
Yeah,
very, very quickly.
Then that's exciting. So some customers have just leveraged it really well, and are just constantly upgrading their product. So it's very good.
Okay. I believe you also recently wrote a book.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, so it came about because we just get so many calls from people that ask the same questions. So they'll say, well, what's the design process? What do I need to think about intellectual property? How much money do I need to develop the product? And all of these common things that you do need to consider up front. But I found myself having the same conversations with people a lot of the time. And so I thought, right, if I put all of this information in a book, then I can just say, these are all valid questions. If you read this, it probably have a lot of answers for you.
A lot of those, yeah.
And let's pick up the conversation then after that, really. Yeah, so that's kind of why I did it.
Okay. And if we wanted to read the book, where would we go to?
So you can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy it directly from the publisher. It's available in Waterstones, which is a really good achievement.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Go in there, see it on the shelf. That's quite nice.
Yeah.
But it's available in most English-speaking countries as well. So New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia as well. So it's quite interesting to see. So we use TikTok to publicize the book, and so to be able to see what that engagement looks like, and to see the countries that are interested in that kind of content related to product development is quite insightful.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good. Thanks,
Gethin
James.
Roberts, Iterate UK. If you want to understand a little bit more about how Gethin and his team could help you out, jump on his website, www.iterate-uk.com.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the listeners too for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do to make sure you don't miss the next episode of Prototype and See. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, good. Happy with that? Yeah. Enjoyed it? That was good. That was good fun.
Whether you're working on your first product or your 10th, you've got the Prototype and See podcast to back you up through your product development journey. Follow, subscribe, and tune in for our next episode. We can't wait to see where your prototype takes you.